Loki is the latest addition to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and after its release on Disney Plus in June 2021, it was met with extremely positive feedback from fans of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and Disney alike. What makes this project unique? We will be looking at some of the most notable cast and crew members to get a better idea of the work that went into Loki. We will also be giving you a behind-the-scenes examination of what the show looked like pre-production. Did Tom Hiddleston manage to do all his own stunts again? And how does the multiverse of Loki tie into the Rick and Morty universe? Stay tuned to find out. Loki, God of Mischief. Loki is perhaps one of the most famous Norse gods after only Thor and Odin. People centuries ago actually prayed to and honored these deities. They were used in mythology to explain the mysteries of the world that ancient humans did not yet understand, such as thunder. One of the gods of mischief's first vague depictions in modern cinema was The Mask, a 1994 film starring Jim Carrey. The premise of the film is such: there exists a mask that is imbued with the spirit of Loki, and it causes whoever decides to wear the mask to undergo a complete physical and mental transformation. They become an exaggerated embodiment of their innermost desires, which is of course a recipe for disaster. We don't get to see Loki himself at any point, but his powers are the driving force of the movie. In the sequel, however, Loki has a significant role and is appropriately played by Alan Cummings, best known for his role in Spy Kids. The Marvel Cinematic Universe. Marvel didn't have the sole rights to its film productions until 2005, when they decided to produce their own films independently and distribute them through Paramount. This was when the term Marvel Cinematic Universe, or MCU, was coined to separate their on-screen adaptations from their comics. The concept of the multiverse connecting all the films was inspired by the original Marvel comics. Stan Lee, along with other Marvel writers, decided to create a shared multiverse wherein the characters in their comics could cross over. The specific Earth represented in Marvel comics was designated as Earth 199,999. This opens the door for infinite storyline possibilities, as well as a way to create continuity across the different sub-franchises. The first MCU television series was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Created for NBC, it ran for 7 years between 2013 and 2020. It was created in part by Joss Whedon, who was previously known for his work on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Marvel's latest series. Those who grew up reading the Avengers comic book, which was first printed in 1963, were already familiar with Marvel's villainous Loki. Tom Hiddleston has now been playing Loki in the Marvel Cinematic Universe for over 10 years. In perhaps one of the greatest character developments of all time, Loki's popularity amongst fans has landed him his very own spin-off show. Loki takes place after the events of Avengers Endgame and was released June 2021. It follows Loki as he is arrested for abusing time law, which is apparently decided upon by a mysterious group of timekeepers. Although still bent on world domination, Loki is everyone's favorite villain. Fans have really found themselves to have grown to like him. We find ourselves rooting for the Norse god as he tries to solve the mystery of the timekeepers while also proving himself as a capable leader. Time Crashers. Tom Hiddleston no doubt embodies a ton of charisma and is a pleasure to watch, but his supporting actors have also helped make the project what it is by giving some great performances. The cast was perfectly selected and an overall joy to watch work together. A surprising addition to the Marvel Cinematic Universe is Owen Wilson, who makes his debut in the series as Mobius. It is obvious that Wilson is thoroughly relishing his role as the philosophical recruiter and is surprisingly believable in the role. The Wedding Crashers star has had some flops in the past, but we think he truly didn't want to miss the opportunity to work on such an epic franchise. The chemistry between him and Tom Hiddleston is electric and truly makes for a very fun viewing experience. Stuntman extraordinaire. Hiddleston is a big advocate for doing all of his own stunts. His character, Loki, is getting tossed around like a ragdoll. He is often attached to numerous ropes and wires that are edited out in post-production. Although he is known to get super close to his fellow actors, his best friend at this point in life is probably the mat that cushions all his falls. He has been known to fall from trap doors, be flipped upside down in the air, and even violently yanked off screen. This series is no different. His love for doing stunts started when he was training for the first Avengers movie. "I have bruises all over my body, but it's called The Avengers, and if it wasn't action-packed, we'd fail to do our jobs," he said in a 2012 interview. "We have the greatest stunt team in the world, led by R.A. Rondell and John Eusebio. So the first thing I did when I got to Albuquerque was hit the stunt gym. I started going through the movements. As I did more and more, I started reconnecting to the character because I believe how you move informs every one of who you are." There are some fight scenes in his repertoire where Hiddleston is totally animated, however, like the scene where he's getting thrown around by the Hulk in The Avengers. What is it that he calls him? Oh yeah, puny god. How much in the series is real? The Loki series is just dripping with production value. It has been made with just as much green screen and special effects as the Marvel feature films. There is tons of action, and the theme of the multiverse definitely requires some crazy cosmic visuals. Set pieces have been crafted with tons of detail and expertise, which helps ground visuals and complement the otherworldly graphics. One episode in particular, Lamentis, packs over 29 minutes of visual effects into a 37-minute episode. In this episode, we watch the destruction of a planet collapsing under its own weight. It has been hollowed out due to overmining, with the planet's inhabitants fleeing to other worlds, and some staying behind on the planet's doomed moon. Jean-Luc Dinsdale of Digital Domain was the VFX supervisor on the episode. Digital Domain has also worked on the feature films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, such as Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. Nearly the entire backdrop of this episode is computer generated, from the mountains in the background to the sandy, smoky environment. Even the buildings are totally computer generated as well. Being the third episode in the series, it really helps capture audiences' attention with the chaotic and at times breathtaking visuals. And the winner of the Best Loki Award goes to one of the absolute best uses of CGI in this series is the incorporation of alligator Loki. Since this series is all about a multiverse, there was no doubt that we found run into some fun versions of Loki and perhaps other characters as well. The most popular alternate Loki would have to be alligator Loki. If you've yet to see the series, yes, he's exactly what he sounds like. He has the body and instincts of an alligator, but with all the Shakespearean regality of the Loki of Earth 1999. Luke McDonald, one of the Loki's VFX supervisors, had this to say about bringing alligator Loki to life on screen. Alligator Loki was a very unique character because of the fact that sometimes the physics of a real alligator are not taken into consideration. Things like picking him up, for instance. Picking up an alligator is a very, very strange thing because alligators' spines only kind of bend a certain way. A great source of comic relief, he quickly became popular amongst memers all across the internet. In fact, you may have already seen an alligator Loki meme and not realized it at the time. We hope that we get to see more, perhaps increasingly twisted versions of Loki in future seasons. What about a Catgirl Loki? Or perhaps a Pickle Loki? What does Rick and Morty have to do with the MCU? Marvel's Loki has been adapted for television by Michael Waldron, who has worked on other sci-fi productions that center around a multiverse plot. He has also worked on the popular Adult Swim show Rick and Morty, in which the concept of a multiverse with multiple timelines and dimensions is a focal point. Contrary to Rick and Morty, this project seems to take time travel and dimension hopping a lot more seriously. It was also directed by Kate Herron, who is known for her hit British comedy series Sex Education. When making a project to be released under the Disney label, there is a lot of pressure to deliver. Marvel has stated that they don't require their directors and writers to have necessarily made anything similar to their superhero films. The only requirement is that they've done something really cool, which is amazing in an industry where it's extremely hard to break out. Thanks for watching the video. We hope that you've learned something new today about Marvel's latest hit series, Loki. Do you think the show will be returning for another season? There have been reports of filming for the second season to start in January 2022, but there has been no official launch date as of yet. What other alternate Lokis do you hope to see moving forward? Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for all the latest Marvel news. Happy holidays!